Well, boys and girls, we are in for an unexpected treat today because I finally tracked down the little interloper who's been just out of the corner of my eye all this time. It's the White Rabbit. How you doing, Mr. Rabbit?
You rat bastard!
Well, gee, that's awfully rude. Why are you naked anyway?
I was mugged in the park. Some hoodlum stole my waistcoat because it was from Harrods.
Well, what about your pocket watch?
Everyone has a clock in their iPhones, dumbass! No one cares about pocket watches anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Rabbit. Well, hang on. Maybe today's movie can cheer you up. It's the more famous 1933 version of Alice in Wonderland. So, we're in the 1930s now, one of the best decades in film history. Classic film after classic film, and many great adaptations to boot. Dracula, Frankenstein, Wuthering Heights, Gone with the Wind, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, The Wizard of Oz, the list goes on. But where's Alice in that lineup? Well, in 1933, Paramount Pictures was set to take the world by a storm with the first big-budget studio version of the classic story. It was packed to the brim with stars from the golden age of Hollywood such as W.C. Fields, Gary Cooper, Cary Grant, Sterling Holloway, Jack Oakey, and a ton of others. Surely this film is as classic as other 30s fantasy staples such as Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and The Wizard of Oz, right?
Wrong, sir. Wrong.
Not only is this film one of the worst Alice in Wonderland adaptations, it actually made fantasy films a tough sell in Hollywood following its cataclysmic failure. But what is it that makes this film so bad? Well, a lot of things, but the most obvious is the script. When we talked about the 1915 silent version, we talked about the importance of framing the Alice narrative so that it actually works cinematically, and that way it isn't just a collection of random stuff that happens. That version pulled it off surprisingly well, and it did justice to the book's beginning, with Alice falling asleep at the riverbank in the golden afternoon. This film starts off closer to Through the Looking Glass, with Alice in her room on a winter's evening. She goes to Wonderland by going through the looking glass, and from there meets characters from both books in a seemingly random order. I know that the books are deliberately nonsensical and don't have a plot in the conventional sense, but they did at least have a build-up. Each character and event got a little bigger and a little crazier until Alice finally met up with royalty of some sort, such as the Queen of Hearts in the first book and the Red and White Queens in the second book. But the sequencing in this film feels so haphazard, and the actors don't really have a good grasp of what they're saying or doing, so really, the whole thing just doesn't work. Speaking of the actors, one important historical note is that it wasn't common for star-studded films like this to have their stars buried under heavy makeup. Plus, there was no television or internet back then, so that's why the credits feature the stars' pictures next to their names, so that the audiences of the time could remember who is playing who, since their makeup would make them completely unrecognizable. However, despite this film being so star-studded, the big stars generally feel miscast or don't get to say or do anything particularly outstanding. Charlotte Henry, who plays Alice, feels like she's sleepwalking her way through this role.
I can see all of the looking glass room from here, all but a bit. I would so like to see that little bit just behind the fireplace.
Plus, Cary Grant, who would go on to be one of the greatest leading men of the 40s and 50s, is cast as the Mock Turtle.
Once I was a real turtle. Oh dear.
Yeah, not one of his proudest moments. There are some positives though. The costumes and makeup for the characters look pretty darn close to the original John Tenniel illustrations, as horrifying as they are. Plus, there is an animated segment in the middle of the movie that recreates the Walrus and the Carpenter poem. It's the best part of the movie by far, because it has that glorious 1930s animation that most people associate with Cuphead.
Oh, déjà vu.
Overall, the 1933 version of Alice in Wonderland had all the right ingredients to make an unforgettable classic, but the elements didn't come together, and now it's more famous for what it could have been rather than what it is. I know that there are people out there who really like this version, but I'm sorry, I just don't think it works. The performances are uneven, the sequencing's off, and it just is a big bucket of wasted potential. It's an early example of something that was really overhyped and didn't deliver. It wouldn't be the last time that a big-budget Hollywood movie would be grossly overhyped and failed to deliver, but some of those are really beloved, so maybe this film belongs in that company as well. For me personally, I think it's a shame that we don't have a truly classic version of the story from what was called Hollywood's greatest decade. So how about it, Mr. Rabbit? Did that help cheer you up?
I wanted to watch Night of the Leapers, you rat bastard! Oh, my life is a never-ending cycle of pain and disappointment.
Okay, well, hang on. Let me see what I can do. Oh, okay. How about this mysterious shirt that just appeared out of nowhere? Will that help cheer you up?
Not that shirt! Not that shirt! Cheshire Cat! Ah!
What's his problem? It's just a shirt. Right?